All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I have the esteemed pleasure of having a chat with a good friend of mine who I've known for, I don't know now, 30
36,
years.
36
Is it
years,
36 years?
26 years,
Um, I
26 years.
was,
Yeah,
it was, I reckon it's 26, yeah.
yeah,
Give
99.
or, give or take, yeah. Miss Amy Windsor, so welcome.
Hey, yeah, Ben, how
I've,
you going?
I'm good, I'm good. Amy and I used to be in the army together.
Uh,
So, for those who don't know, for those who do, um, we were both musicians in the Australian Army. I was saxophone, Amy was trombone,
mhm.
and basically that's how we got to know each other. So, Amy does live about 4 hours south from me, and obviously I'm in Cairns. Amy's in Townsville, and
Yep.
it's a good, actually, it's a good opportunity to talk about that as well because obviously the discussion today is about men's health, obviously, for Movember, but also for women's health as well. And I know for what I do, well, what I try and do within the community, obviously raising awareness for breast cancer as well as men's health. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on my cat. I have a visitor joining us potentially this afternoon if she comes over. So yeah, it's an opportunity for us to just have a chat and just talk about what I do, what Amy does, what we try and do to help those in need and just raise awareness just for men's health, but also for women's health as well. So, Amy, thank you. I do appreciate your time this afternoon to have a bit of chat about that.
All good.
So, in general, how have you been? How's your overall health been? Is everything okay? Everything's good?
Uh, yeah, no,
No.
unfortunately. I've gone from a lifetime of fairly robust health and resilience to um, sliding a slippery slope of health issues ever since I got COVID at Christmas time last year. So I've just received an official diagnosis of long COVID. Um, and it's absolutely upended my life because that's happening at the same time as going through perimenopause. And there's this real crossover of symptoms with things like cognitive function and stuff like that. So I've really been struggling a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a
And
difficult transition this year.
I think probably well, when we talk about people who struggle and stuff like that. You know, Are You Okay Day was just last week, but
Mm,
it just goes to show it's just not about men who struggle, but it's
mm,
about women that struggle as well. And what I try and do is, obviously support the most sisters that have supported me over the years, hence all the pink and stuff like that.
mm.
But then, and that's obviously due to breast cancer awareness, but also when you think about your circumstance, which everyone thinks that COVID's just a thing of the past. It's not like
Mm.
what it was, but it's still having an adverse effect on yourself and your own mental well-being as well. So I guess that would be pretty tough.
It is extremely tough. Like the mental well-being side of things is really difficult because it's taken 9 months to actually get a diagnosis of, well, yes, this is long COVID, and that was simply through ruling out any other option of what could potentially be causing the problems that I've been having. But it doesn't. I mean, it's good to know that, hey, yes, we can now tick off a thing and say this is what's happening, but there's no answer to the question, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Like, I've got this thing, but there's nothing really we can do about it. We've just got to like conserve your energy and don't do too much and try and eat well and exercise, which is difficult if you're functionally incapable of doing it because you're so fatigued all the time. So it is a very difficult mental space to be in because the things that I know that are good for me for my mental health are things that are making me physically exhausted. And so
Yeah, yeah,
I have a lot of trouble balancing that, trying to get it right, and like having some cardiac issues and things like that. So it is a really difficult space, and I'm really struggling with it. Um, Not only because of the physical aspect, but because of, as I mentioned before, like the cognitive. function and the effect on the cognitive function. And like I'm you know me, I'm a wordy lady. I'm well educated. I've been through university. I went into a PhD, which I didn't finish, but like my intellect and my capacity for cognitive engagement is something that is incredibly precious to me and something that I have considered to be one of the more important aspects of my identity and my personality. And to have that fail me time and time again is really, really hard for me to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. And I know as long as I've known you, you're probably one of the smartest persons that I've ever known. You know, you're very with your words. You know, you're very outspoken, and you and I'm trying to put the words together, but I can't. You know, you can,
Yeah,
you know, you have that knowledge. You know, you read a lot. You know, you really you are a really smart person, and
thank you.
having that impact you would be pretty tough, and not just physically, but mentally as well.
Yeah, I find that because of the impact on my energy levels and my cognitive function, I really don't read much anymore,
Mm,
which again was a really huge part of my identity for most
yeah.
of my life. I've always been known as being a big reader.
Mm,
And I really can't concentrate on it for very long anymore. I'm trying to work around that a little bit because I was doing a lot of just because I haven't worked for quite a while now. And I was doing a lot of just kind of in between the bouts of housework and stuff that I could manage, just doom scrolling on my phone, which is never a good space to fall into. So I decided that I'd try and combat the doom scrolling and the cognitive decline by learning languages on Duolingo. So I've been, trying to do a bit of that just as a way to, it's almost as a way of self-care, really, to try and stay away from that terrible mind and emotion suck of the doom scroll, but also keep those cognitive synapses firing,
yeah,
hopefully.
it's it's definitely challenging. So I'm guilty of doom scrolling, and I'm pretty sure everyone is. I've
I think we
actually,
all are, yeah.
yeah, and my, I used to watch the news all the time, just as an example. I was full on, every morning I'm seeing what's going on. Whether it's good or bad, I'm always there watching it. I'll barely, I might get on news.com briefly, um, every 2 or 3 days and just have a look, and then
Mm,
I'm off it. But then on the flip side, you're going through Instagram, for example, and all this, you're seeing all these little clips of all this bullshit reaction with different people all over the world, and it's like, is that making it any better? Looking at that, going,
no.
is it is it worse than actually just looking at the news to see what's going on in the world?
Mm,
That's obviously situations have changed for people and stuff like that, and it's bringing that mental health awareness back to the forefront. When I was in the army, this is before you was,
yeah,
when I was in Townsville, for example. Townsville was a
yeah,
perfect um, experience for what I experienced. I was there in '95, and I reckon that 95 to 96 was definitely the worst that I've ever experienced, from a personal side of things. That um, the the reaction on how I was perceived
yeah,
wasn't in that norm, and that was a decline for me for that year, and
yeah.
and it wasn't a good year. And
No.
when those particular people look at me now, thinking, "Oh, what the hell? What's he doing with the pink hair and the pink mole and everything pink?" It's like, well, you guys don't understand. This is that, but that was like the mentality back in then, and that's hopefully, I really don't know, because I have no history with the army anymore, and it's been like that for years. but hopefully something has changed, and hopefully a little bit more awareness for men's health has um, come to light a little bit more. I think definitely that there is, but I don't know. I think there more maybe needed. And obviously, where you're based is a military town. I don't know if there's any whispers that you've heard from any ex-army people that we both may know
Mm.
about if there's been any change. I'm not sure if you've heard of anything at all.
I have had a couple of slightly encouraging things. I don't stay in massive contact with anyone. Have a few friends that I talk to every now and then, but I did actually ask specifically about a couple of things because by the time I arrived in the Townsville Band in 2005, I don't think things were all that much different from when you'd been there 10 years earlier in terms of how mental health was treated and the attitudes towards, well, women were not great because, I mean, as you know, back when you were there, there were no women in the
Yeah.
band. And by the time I arrived, they'd only been there for a couple of years. And at one point, I was the only woman in the battalion, which was an interesting experience.
And so before you continue, I just want to make sure people are aware that obviously this is we're just Amy and I are just talking about our experiences
Yeah.
within the service, so it doesn't represent what
Mm-mm.
the current climate is. We're
No,
just
no. So
talking
what
about
I've,
our past experience
yeah.
and
So
what we've learned from that.
I imagine that when you went through, and the same as the time that I went through, there was a pretty heavy drinking culture. Um, And what I have heard is that the younger soldiers going through now, particularly in the band, I don't know about any other um, corps, but definitely in the band, that there's a real move away from that. And they're doing a lot less like going out and getting pissed together and doing things like going to the gym instead, which I think is an absolutely fantastic
Mm.
progression in terms of personal care and mental health. And I think it does a lot better for group cohesion as well.
Yeah.
Just speaking completely off the cuff. But yeah, so that's what I've heard is that there is a real move away from that kind of culture that we were exposed to,
Mm.
and more of a move towards a more, what's the, this is where my cognitive failings are going to annoy me. Um, like a self-care centered, like a personal care centered
Yeah.
attitude towards things. And I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I know when I was there, it was definitely a massive drinking culture.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I wasn't, I didn't form a part of that environment
Mm,
at that time. You know, coming from Sydney, experience in Sydney to experience in that, it's
yeah,
opposite ends of the spectrum.
yeah,
So that was definitely that, especially that first year, that was definitely an eye opener, and the attitude towards me was, you know what, it wasn't a pleasant experience to be in at that
yeah,
time. It really wasn't, and that and the mental health effect that it had on me, like, so I see a psychologist. Haven't seen her for a bit because it's basically when I need to see her, basically.
yeah.
Um,
I saw mine
oh,
today.
awesome, awesome. I spoke to somebody. Now, I, it's hard to actually judge because it was so long ago about what he. I can't even remember how I got in touch with him. I'm pretty sure I
Mm,
just opened the phone book and just went, "Oh, who can I speak to?" And then I just found this person, and it kind of had a semi-positive experience about it, even though it was just one session. Um,
mm.
it could have been more like what is it? I can't remember now. I can't remember. I'm having the same issue you're having, but that's fine. It was just a different experience. But then, if I could reach out to somebody within the army to say, "Hey, I've got these issues," I'm pretty sure it would have just fallen on flat on deaf ears. Now,
Yeah. You would have been told to
obviously,
man up and suck it up and
yeah,
get on
exactly.
with the job.
Yeah,
Peace be the
exactly.
concrete princess. Yeah.
And that's from what you've heard, that kind of seems to be a common occurrence with men's health. Is that what you've heard? You think because
Yeah, I
like
think
you have that man up and blah blah blah
yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. There's that real, and it is, without wanting to get too political about everything, but it really is that the effect of patriarchal standards on men, and patriarchal standards affect men and women in negative ways. And one of the most negative ways that men are affected is in that expectation that you need to man up, you need to harden up, you keep all your feelings inside, you don't talk about it. And as we just learn over and over and over again, it's the worst possible thing to do. But there's such a stigma still, I think, with the older generations. I have great hope for the younger kids coming through that these stigmas are being broken. My young nephew, who's just become a dad for the first time, young, he's 31, not that young. He's just become a dad for the first time, and he's the most love-filled human I've ever met in my life. And the way that he presents himself and the way that he speaks very openly about his concerns and his issues and his worries, I do have real hope that the younger generations are going to hopefully start to shift what is an acceptable thing for men to do, because that sort of refusal to sit with your feelings and actually allow yourself to feel them, be able to name them, because a lot of people really can't name the things that they're experiencing. Brene Brown talks about the Mad, Sad, Glad trilogy. Like it's the three things that almost all people can very clearly say, oh, I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel angry. But going beyond that and naming frustration, anxiety, disappointment, all of these other things that can then manifest in certain behaviors, like aggressive behaviors or angry behaviors, because those are often masking
Mm.
elements that cover up where it's really coming from. I've lost my thread a little bit there because that's the other
Well,
thing that happens to me all the time.
that's fine. My psychologist, her speciality is sports psychology,
Yeah,
and
right. Yeah.
and I was at that point in my, let's say it's a career, but my passion at the time when I was doing triathlon
Mm,
was, as much as it's a very individual sport, you're competing against hundreds, if not thousands, of other people. Um, Depending on the event, obviously, whether it's a world championship or whether it's just a local event, you're comparing yourself to others and trying to beat
mm,
others. Now, whether
mm.
that's as like a friendly competition that you might have with somebody, or it could escalate into something which is a lot
Yeah.
bigger, and how it can affect you. I've seen local races here in Cairns that literally, I remember one after the swim leg. Something happened to this guy. I don't know what it was. He looked fine when he got out, but literally he done the swim, got out, sat on the grass, and just put his head in between his legs. Now, whatever the case was that made him do that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then when it can have a really massive effect on yourself as an individual, let alone an athlete, in
Mm,
um, in trying to better yourself against other people. Now, everyone's there for a time. Everyone wants to beat their time. Everyone wants a PB. When people have asked me about, like a good friend of mine did his first marathon 3 weeks ago, I think, and he said to me, "What have you got? Any quick last minute pointers, tips, whatever?" I said, "Mate, just enjoy it. It's your first marathon. Don't worry about your time, but don't compare yourself to others because they're at a different level to you. Now,
Yeah.
whether they're better than you, whether they're, oh, let me rephrase that, whether they're more experienced than you or whether they're not, you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. And I think that's a general part of life that people try and do that, comparing themselves. Everyone's different, you
Amazing.
know. You look at me, and obviously, you know, I'm a lot different to other people, and you know, I don't give a fuck really. In the end of it, it's
Yeah.
how I represent myself. It's how you know it's people see me 50 meters down the road, look at me, they either smile, they don't say anything, they say something, we talk about it, stuff like that. It's me how I represent myself as an individual, a father of two adult sons who encourage my boys to talk about
Mm.
if they've got any concerns or any issues. One of them lives down the bottom of the state. The other one's working at the moment at the very top of the state. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's not often that I see, well, Caleb anyway, but it's that they know that if they've got any concerns, and I think, and I'll be getting their opinion on it pretty soon about which will make for an interesting conversation about their experience because obviously the whole point of doing these chats is getting everybody's different views, man, woman, old, young, white, brown, black, pink, green, whatever, straight, gay, whatever, old, young. It's having a because everyone's got a different opinion, everyone's got a different look on how men's health has affected them, but not just men's health, it's obviously women's health as well. You know, having the most sisters that have supported me over the years, there's been hundreds of most sisters. You're one of them who have supported me over the years, and I love every single one of you because what you've done for me. It's me giving back to them that have supported me over the years, and if it is by making an impact statement about and it's a pity we're not having this conversation tomorrow afternoon because I am getting a new tattoo done tomorrow
Oh, fun.
and it's going to make an impact, a big impact. So stay tuned. I'll send you a photo.
Oh, well.
So it's making that statement like I tell everybody. It's like I'm not going to be old and grey when I'm 30 years, 40 years down the track. I'll still be old and pink. You know, I'll be that old man with pink hair and pink moustache, making sure that people are aware of what he does to support people who have supported him. So it's and in saying that, I just went off a bit of a tangent there. Having that support, like especially with my boys, having them to feel open and encouraged to talk about their emotions and what they believe in.
Yeah.
Is that I'm never not going to say to them, no, you can't. And I think a there has been a definite change in how mental health has been approached by
Mm.
generations. I
Yeah.
know me growing up, there was nothing really.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's got better over the years, and to the point where it's a lot hell of a lot better than what it used to be. I'm pretty sure it can be fine tuned a little bit more, but hey, we're not the
Mm.
professionals, so that's okay. But from your perspective, now I know you're a mother.
Yep.
How has that been with your boy growing up, him growing up, but having your point of view when it comes to mental health as well?
Look, I'm trying really, really hard with him to teach him how to recognize his emotions, to be able to name and label them, and to recognize where they come from. We've minor complications, not a complication, but he's received recently a diagnosis of autism and ADHD. So there's an added layer on top there of ability to like recognize his own emotions or the emotions of other people. But we do quite a lot of work on it. I've got a couple of resources. I've got this fabulous book that I bought from a company out of New Zealand. It's essentially an encyclopedia of emotions. It's beautifully illustrated, and it's like A to Z, all these different things, and the crossovers that they might have with other emotions, like this one's related to this one, and it might manifest in your body in this way. And here are some things that you can do to help alleviate the distress that you might be feeling because of that emotion. And that's something that I think is incredibly important for everyone, is to be able to feel okay, not comfortable because it's not comfortable, but feel okay with sitting in distressing emotions. And it is fucking hard. It's so hard. Like in the wake of my marriage breakup, I did a lot of unusual for me, but a lot of sort of political activism adjacent things that I'm politically engaged. I pay attention to what's going around, but I've never been one to really post about it on Facebook or go to marches and stuff like that. And I probably should do that, but I eventually worked out that I was trying to externalize my feelings. Like I was so uncomfortable with sitting in my distress, in my sadness, in my disappointment, in my confusion about what had happened, that I was not actually in any way, shape, or form able to process what I was going through because I was not being with it. So it took a really long time for me to learn how to try and sit with difficult feelings rather than like try desperately to get away from them, which is what I'd done for almost the entirety of the rest of my life. And so I'm trying really hard to get my son to be alert to that already. Like I think if it's something that he's introduced to young, then it's something that he's going to be able to manage much better as he gets older. I hope that's the theory anyway,
Yeah.
and then hopefully he won't be well into his adulthood like I was before he's able to learn how to sit with discomfort, emotional
Mm.
discomfort, and then to be able to work through the feelings, get to the bottom of where it's coming from, or even just feel it for a bit so that it doesn't hold so much weight with him, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because he's young, and it's
Mm,
definitely hard for him to understand and control his emotions and his feelings. And yeah, it'd be very immensely hard for someone that age to understand. But as
mm,
long as he's got, and which he does, you support him a lot. It's easier. Well, I find it would be somewhat easier for him to understand those emotions when you've got someone like yourself who is open to conversations and has had suffered stuff in the past as well. But it's
yeah,
not just showing a blind eye to it, and it's digging deeper. It's understanding what's the issues, how you can best help him, guide
mm,
him in the right direction. But it's like when I was, and I've mentioned this before in a couple of other chats, and it's just reminded me about that when I was talking to a young 8 or 9 year old girl who saw me in the shopping centre with her mum, who was obviously very excited to see me. She was just a complete stranger to me. So her mum, I saw her coming up with a mum, and her mum said, "Oh, my daughter just wants to say hello, just wants to have a chat. She's seen you. Awesome." It's she's obviously hadn't seen someone before, and it was freshly pink. It's like kind of like what it is now, maybe a little bit more fresher. And she just wanted to talk. She just wanted to have that engagement with a man in his 50s who has pink hair and a pink moustache. And the conversation I had with her wasn't because of her age, and this is going back to your son. Um, the age that she's at would she really understand what I mean if I go into really, really kind of digging a little bit deeper about men's health and women's health? I want to assume no, because I don't know her. I don't know her situation. So I just said, hey, do you know Movember? Have you heard of Movember? No. Excellent. Right, let's briefly talk about Movember. Have you heard about breast cancer awareness? And then her mum mentioned something about it. So I think there may have been an incident in her family in which someone had suffered from breast cancer. So I was having that conversation with her as well. It wasn't going into really, this is what happens to a woman when she gets older and all that kind of stuff, because I don't think she would have been really taken that in. I think
Mm.
it made a little bit too heavy for her. So it's more about, seeing somebody who's this, and this happened, uh when was it? Mid to late May this happened, because
Mm.
the breast cancer Go Pink for breast cancer awareness was in June. So it's like, well, hey, do you go to school? Yeah, where do you go to school? What grade are you in? Yeah, well, how about you talk to your principal and talk to him about doing something at the school? I'm sure that, there'll be no issue with you wearing pink for a day, because if they know the reasons why you do it, they can't really say no. And then, her eyes lit up. Oh, mum, can I do that? Yeah, yeah, do it. It's encouraging the younger generation to have some form of awareness about what is going on in life when it comes to mental health, not just mental health, but women's health as well. Like, all boards, there's so much out there, but try not to bombard them with too much. But it's like what I did for her, even if she got nothing out of that, she would have seen a man with pink, and that would have resonated with her. And it
Mm.
shows that someone my age, and I'm not that old, but someone who has tries to make an impact, tries to make a statement, um, about what he believes in, to get someone, if all I've done is, if I have a chat with somebody, if all I've done is for them to realize that, oh shit, I need to get my breast checks, then I've done something. I've made that impact. I was talking to my
Yeah.
friend the other day. He And that conversation we had was pretty heavy about suicide, and he, without him realizing it, he had made an impact on somebody without
Yeah.
him. And then when he found out about it, it was like, this whole range of emotions just had overwhelmed him, and he and he felt great. And I said, well, mate, that's great. What you're doing is making an impact on someone. Hopefully,
Mm.
what I'm doing is making an impact on someone. You may never know that,
And
but
I think beyond,
who cares?
even even beyond the encouraging, or as you say, like prompting something in somebody's mind to go and get a breast check, or go and get a prostate check, or go and get whatever kind of health check it is that they need, or even book an appointment to see a psychologist. Exposing your activism to young kids also models the importance of looking after each other within a society, because we do live in a terribly individualized society these days. And to see you doing what you're doing and raising awareness and looking after the people around you and people that you don't know as well, I think that's really important to model to children too. Children, well, to everyone really, that
Yeah,
it's important that we as humans care for each other and do what we can to help each other as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And when I hopefully, well, I'm pretty sure what I do, like obviously both my boys are fully aware of what I do. Um, Absolutely have no issue with what I do, and
Mm.
that's and I think whether it's that this generation now of younger children, like, no, my boys are 21 and 22, they're still young, but they're both adults, and having that impact in their life and in that general age bracket of them, is what we're doing having an impact on the younger generation moving forward? Uh, are they more open to be talking about their issues instead of closing the gate and not speaking? I'm I don't believe that is 100% true. There's still people going to be having concerns, having dramas, but I think on the flip side, um, if they know what their dad does, and hopefully it will rub on them a little bit, and have that support and feelings that they can express if they've got concerns and stuff
Mm.
like that. Both of my kids know that if they've got any concerns, any dramas, call me. I don't care what time of day it is or what
Yeah.
time of night it is. And I think really all parents are like that to a degree. um, but I'm thinking hopefully with your boy, I don't want to mention his name unless you want me
Mm.
to,
No.
that hopefully that when he gets older, that he would understand what you've gone through, what you've instilled into his belief, that you know people have issues, people have dramas,
Yeah.
no one's perfect. If he understands the support that he's being given now at this age to when he's going to be in another 10 years, and when he eventually becomes an adult, hopefully he's got that background of support and knowledge to fix any concerns or dramas that he may have or may be experiencing at that time. So
Yeah.
I
No,
think,
absolutely.
yeah, I think what you're doing is to be commended. Absolutely, it's not hard, so it's not easy, um, to go through that at that young age for him, for
Mm.
sure. And you know, and I know both my boys had dramas growing up, but who doesn't? We all
Mm.
always have issues, but it's having that support and acknowledging that there is an issue, and not just sweeping it under the carpet and just going, oh, man up, like
Mm.
a lot of it is. And I think a lot of that can come down from, it's just the age bracket, and how you grew up. I think a lot of
Yeah.
older generations obviously still have that um, belief that mental health isn't it's just something which is stupid, and you should just sort yourself out and move on. I definitely think there is a shift to the better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've absolutely witnessed it. I think it's also difficult because you and I live in such regional areas, and that comes with its own set of idiosyncrasies, shall we say? That I think it might be difficult for you and I to gauge exactly how much it's changing in possibly more metropolitan areas than where we live.
Yeah,
Because it can be a little bit rednecky around where we are, and that obviously
more
comes with
more
certain
more you
attitudes.
than me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And like my nephew I mentioned before, he's down north of Sydney, and like all his mates pretty much around that age group, those early 30s, all really open. They're super affectionate with each other. They talk really openly. It's really incredible to watch compared to the kind of things that we were experiencing when we were younger. So I hold hope that that the younger generations coming through after us are going to push that shift even further than we're
yeah,
already seeing.
yeah. And I'm seeing that with my boys, especially
Yeah,
eldest, because he's down in Brisbane.
yeah,
Um, there's that open attitude towards gay, straight, trans, bi, that environment and that social aspect of things.
mm,
It's more, and at that age, I'm actually talking to him this afternoon about it. and it'll be good to get his perspective on what it's like where he is.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot more open and a lot more acceptable when it comes to his work and also his studying
Yeah.
as well. So there's definitely and I find a lot of younger people are going into the not necessarily the aged care, but like support network in
It's
supporting people.
funny you should say that because that's exactly what my nephew does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He works in disability support.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I know. I know two very close people who did exactly the same thing. So
mm,
it's and that's a good thing, having been having that first hand interaction with those people, understanding what they're experiencing, taking a step back and thinking about your own personal life, thinking that has it in a way impacted me, and kind of getting an understanding of what they're going through and how it's best for them to focus on any potential issues that they may have and the support around them. So I think it's a good experience for them to experience that. But yeah, hopefully, I honestly think there's a generation gap of what mental health means to people our age. We are roughly the same age. I'm a little bit older than you, but roughly around the age. As opposed to someone who's 30, 20, 30 years older than us.
mm,
So,
oh, yeah.
it's how, and I think what we're doing is definitely making a statement, making an impact on it being better for when my boys are parents and they have children,
Mm.
understanding what they've gone through and having a granddad who looks like me as an example. So yeah, so yeah, it's
Okay.
it's definitely an experience, um, going through what stuff that I've gone through, what you've gone through, and what a lot of people go through. So hopefully, if anything that someone's got out of this conversation today is, just be who you are, be that support for your children, have that support there for them, and there is support out there. A lot of people will think there's not, and that they're hard done by. Obviously, there's different circumstances for different people,
Mm.
but there is the support out there. It's whether you decide you want to take that support or not.
And
People
embracing
want
your
people around.
own, sorry,
No,
I
you're
was going to say embracing your own vulnerability is a really incredible place to start
yeah,
because you need to be able to sit with that and accept that actually I could do with a hand here, and then
yeah,
and then seek out the different resources that are available. And I think you were just about to say it's not necessarily just professional resources. Hey, was that kind of where
yeah,
you were going with that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's not. You've got that network. I've never had a massive network of friends.
Mm,
I've always really had a close circle of friends, but it's reaching out, and we had a good conversation the other day, and it's just reaching out to somebody to say, hey, are you okay? Um,
yeah.
and yeah, and even if it's just you never know how it's going to impact that person. You never know
Mm,
what that person is doing. You just don't know. So
no.
hopefully, yeah, it's knowing where to go. It's knowing what you can do. It's just having those resources to and have that support behind you. And that's what it can be hard for a lot of people, having that support. I think for us, we give a lot of support to our children, obviously, um, because it's what it is. It's what we believe in, and
Yeah.
like I said, it's not just men's support; it's women's support as well. It's just not men who go
Mm,
through issues, women go through issues as well. So
hmm
Yeah. Anyway, that's, I reckon, on that note, we might wrap it up.
Sounds
It's
like a pretty good place to do it.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to see your smiling face again. So,
Yours too, Ben.
well, you can't really see it because
Haven't seen the whole thing in years.
of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
but once again, Amy, thank you very much.
No worries, mate.
Hope you are safe and well, and yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Okay.
Okay. See you,
Right, mate.
Ben.
Thank you. Bye.